Alright guys, I'm out here again for the second week in a row. It's May 23rd. It is actually the hottest day of the year again. It's supposed to be 90 degrees today. It's a beautiful sunny day. We're coming out here just at peak high tide. The tide just flipped and started going back out. We're out here doing some flounder fishing with the spear guns, as well as doing some lobstering. And I also brought down my catch and cook stuff. We're gonna do a little catch and cook of some flounder down here in a little bit. But I know the flounder are really temperamental depending on what the tide is doing, so I think we're gonna go out and hit the flounder first and then go for lobster. So let's get in the water and see what we can do. Alright guys, I'm using a new case of my GoPro. I apologize if the audio is not great, but I'm just gonna show you what we're doing here. We're gonna head right out to that island out there to a deep pool where I know there's usually some flounder, also definitely some striper. So we're gonna get in the water, head straight over there, and then start looking for lobster. Right to the bottom, found a little sandy patch, and bang, he was sitting right there where I expected him to be. Let's get in the bag, see if we can find some more. Yeah! Man, Charlie, I wish you just tracked me. Dude, that was sick. And another good flounder right off the bat. Second drop, second fish. We are crushing them right now. Alright guys, that was a pretty good dive. It wasn't quite as awesome as I was hoping for. We didn't get any lobster keepers. I caught a couple, they were too small. But I did manage to get a couple flounder with the spear gun here. A couple beautiful winter flounder. This one's probably about 14 inches. The keeper size is 12 inches. And you're actually allowed to have 8 of these a day north of Cape Cod. Only ended up 2 today, but we could legally have harvested 16 of these today. That's definitely overkill. Probably never harvest that many. Probably only ever do 4 or 5, because that's the most we can eat in a couple days. But let's fillet these guys up. I'll show you guys the process. Now, flounder don't have any Y bones or anything like that. This is their lateral line running right down the middle. Really just get 2 fillets off each side. I'm gonna try to do just 1 fillet on each side here. So I'm gonna start up the top, come along the back, along the tail, and you really don't get that much meat around the belly, so it's probably going to end up looking just about like this. So to get started, take the knife, run right up along top of his gill plate, up along the top of his head. You want a nice sharp knife. This is a really small fillet knife, but it's great for these small fish. Then I'm just going to run this right along the side, and there's really not that much meat right next to the fin, so you don't need to go crazy. And then you take the knife and just run it right along his bones, going right up his vertebrae. Try to do long, steady knife cuts, trying to keep the blade right up against the bones so you're not missing too much meat. I would say this side's maybe a little bit trickier, but it's very similar. Just start up along the top. I'm gonna do the same thing with that cut. Just go right along this back. Just making a long cut all the way down so I can start to open them up. And then you can start to peel this back and make the deeper cuts. All right guys, here are the 2 fillets I ended up with here. These are not very big, but they actually shrunk up a considerable amount more than I'm used to. This is the freshest I've ever filleted one of these fish. I always wait until they go into and come out of rigor mortis. Some of the factors that influence whether they go into rigor mortis faster or slower is heat. And today it's 90 degrees, it's actually the hottest day of the year so far, so the fish really tensed up so fast. and I'm not quite sure how much this is going to affect the texture and taste of the fish, but it definitely made it a lot harder to fillet. As you can see, these aren't my best fillets, but they're still going to taste great. So I'm going to chop these guys up and start frying them. I'll show you guys the whole cooking process in a second. Let's go. Alright, I just cut those fillets up into these little tiny chunks. I would say these are ready to go. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to these, a little bit of garlic salt, and we'll be good to go. Should be great. Usually these fish are fine with absolutely nothing on them. I still love it. Alright, it's time to add the olive oil to the pan here. I'm literally going to keep this as simple as possible. Just olive oil into the pan, light salt, pepper, and garlic on the fish, and we're eating it right out of the pan with corn tortilla chips. Add the olive oil and get cooking. Just test it out. Looks like it's not quite hot enough. I usually like to wait until it really explodes with bubbles when you put it in, so I'm gonna wait one more second here. Alright guys, ready to add the fish here. The oil is hot. Oh yeah, it means it's ready. Cook it all at once. And this fish really cooks so fast. You just barely want to get to the point where it's all white. I usually do about 2 minutes on each side, 2 or 3 minutes on each side. This is looking great so far. It's gonna be a nice little lunch out in the rocks here, so we don't have to go home early. Ooh yeah, this is looking good. I'm interested to see how much the texture is affected by eating it fresh like this. Because the texture of the fish when I put it into the pan is very different than what I usually am used to. Alright, I'd say this is cooking nicely. I'd say a lot of these are ready to be flipped. Just gonna gently go through. Wow, this meat is just falling apart when I'm touching it. Just wanna make sure and get all of them fully cooked on both sides. Alright guys, the fish is done. Look at that. Looking really nice, white, flaky meat. Give myself a quick hit of hand sanitizer here. Now you gotta stay safe. Go ahead and pop this corn tortilla open. We're gonna eat this right out of the pan as is. This is as simple as it gets, guys. We just speared these fish about an hour and a half ago. Right behind us here, the tide is dropping, and these fish are as local as it gets right here. So I think it's gonna be good. All right, Charlie's trying the first bite. What do you think? How'd it come out?
That's actually pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah, that's good.
I'll take it. For a little beach lunch like this, not looking for anything too fancy, just something to sustain us so we can stay out here a couple more hours. It's really hard to tell that it's that was fresh and not kept in the fridge for a couple days. I always do like to keep the meat quality as high as possible. I would say maybe it tastes a little bit more fishy, but the texture is still great. It's really white, flaky meat, and still tastes great. All right, we're just brainstorming here for things we could do better for next time. I think we're gonna step it up a little bit, bring out some lemon juice, maybe some aioli, maybe some salsa, and make tacos out here next time. So for the next catch and cook, we're gonna bring out a little bit more ingredients, have a little bit better of a meal out here. Alright, that was the last bite of the lunch here. I gotta say, I don't really notice much of any difference between the quality of meat and texture and flavor with this fish versus the ones that I let go through rigor mortis and then filleted. I gotta say, I'm probably gonna be doing this more so. It's always good to bleed the fish right away, which is something I do with all my fish. I'm not sure if some people just didn't do that, maybe that's what they're noticing. But I gotta say, this is a great way to have some fish. It's as fresh as it gets. We just caught those about 100 yards away from us, behind us. So, really can't complain about anything here. It's an absolute great way to spend the afternoon. Alright guys, we're gonna end the video here for today. Although I'm definitely gonna be out here next weekend. And I'm thinking the lobstering and fishing is only gonna get better. So I think next weekend we're gonna be able to do a flounder and lobster cookout here. We're gonna bring tacos. Gonna make it a little bit more legit. It's gonna be awesome. So I'll see you guys next time.